Hello, good evening. Welcome to PM Express. We woke up this week and we heard about some 22 girls at Wesley Girls Senior High School who were allegedly involved in occultism. It's been debated whether occultism is a religion, and if it is a religion, whether the constitutional provision that allows every Ghanaian the right to freedom of worship, that these children's rights are not being trampled upon. Is occultism a religion? If it is not a religion, what is it? Is occultism a problem in our schools? On PM Express, these are the matters that we are discussing. My name is Malik Abbas Dabo. Stay tuned. When we come back, I will introduce my guest and we will settle for the discussion. Stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back. We are talking occultism. With me in the studio is Dr. Eric Kwesi Ofori. He is a National Vice President of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. Doc, you're welcome. Thank you. Have you heard the story about the Wesley Girls Senior High School?
Yes, I read the story in the Ghanaian Times this morning. And it was just an amazing story, anyway.
And when you read it, how did it hit you? That girls, because we know that sometimes the boys tend to be very naughty and they would do all of these things because the boys are adventurous, so they would do these things. When you read that this is a girls' school and girls were involved, how did it hit you?
Well, it came to me as a surprise, and at the same time not surprised in a way, but surprised in the sense that I attended boys' school, and those years ago, if we are talking about such practices and these, it's normally associated with boys' school. So for a whole girls' school, and for that matter, a Christian-based girls' school, Methodist-based Wesley Girls, it was a bit surprise to me.
Let's go back to your days in school. How pervasive was this practice of occultism in secondary school?
Well, in my days, late 80s and early 90s, it wasn't something which was actually popular. You'll be hearing people doing one sort of things, calling saints here and there, but it wasn't something which was practiced actually well, publicly, or something that you can really see and attest to even at the
which secondary school was this?
Well, Suhu Secondary Technical School.
Okay. And did you see any students yourself involved in any occultic practices?
Actually, no. It was a matter of hearsay and so forth. But personally, I didn't come across people practicing. And actually, the situation then wasn't something that can cause people to actually do it, because those days, well, I don't know the current day, but those days they were really disciplined at school. And for you to actually be able to have your own way out to do some of these things, it was a bit difficult for you as a student, because there was methodological way of doing things, from preps to go to sleep, from sleep to wake up. So it was regimented. It was really regimented. So it wasn't so easy seeing people, but 1 or 2 days you hear people doing this, going to call for saint here and there and so on. But it wasn't something that was well established even at schools, actually.
You are the vice president of UTAG, and we do know that, especially at the higher level of education, you hear reports about these things being pervasive, and there are established traditions in some of the public universities and even the private ones where people do these things. But at the secondary school level, at the senior high school level, when you read about students being involved in occultism as a member of UTAG and as a leader for that matter, how would you say that the leadership in the schools have failed?
I wouldn't say maybe they have failed totally, but what I think is it's a bit worrying because at the university level, the students are deemed as matured and everybody has his own way of doing things and so on. But secondary school level, it's expected that the authorities should have absolute control over the students because they are still regarded as being under the control and the influence of their school authorities. So at that level, if you don't attend classes, you are sanctioned. At the university level, if you don't attend lectures, you have liberty. So if these things are happening at secondary school level, pre-tertiary level, it's more worrying. And the authorities have a lot to do and a lot to answer because it's their duty. While the students are under their control, it is their sole responsibility to make sure that the ethics, the norms, their core values are translated into the student. So it is a big responsibility for them. But sometimes the problem, like as I read, what happened at the Wesley Girls was somehow behind the scene of the authorities. And I don't know how long it has been practiced in that school, but that means that they have a lot to do. They have to sit up, they have to tighten their control system, their monitoring system, their inspection system, and so forth.
Is that not a problem? Because parents have become more and more intolerant of certain measures being taken against their children in school. And we have had reports of parents going to the school to give instructions to teachers. You can't treat my child this way. This is not how I treat my child at home. You don't have any right to treat the child. The child is here to learn. Your job is to teach the child. That's it. So when you now come and ask the same teachers and the school authorities to put in stringent measures to ensure that children do not take certain steps, you're asking too much, aren't you?
I think it's not entirely true, especially at secondary school levels and JSS level. At the university level, yes. University levels, you can consider students as matured and they have their own way of doing things. But at secondary school level, there is still control. No matter the influence of the parent and so on, they are still under the control of their school authorities. Student comes to school, they register, they sign the prospectus. They have rules and guidelines they have to sign and adhere to. So far as they are still under their control, the school dictate when to go to dining, when to go to classroom, when to go. It means they have control over it. So it's not wholly true that parents of these days cannot exert their influence even. I mean, they exert unnecessary influence on their parents, on their wards. So secondary school heads are maybe they are helpless to take action. No, I still believe that we still have some second cycle institutions where discipline is strictly adhered to because they know the values, the core values. They understand it and they are prepared to defend it. So it's not wholly true. When what is happening is that when the student comes home, then they are under the control of the parent. The parent has responsibility and other things. But no matter what they pick from the home, when they go to school, a strong and well-disciplined school will ensure that whatever thing they brought home is kept there. They should not be able to.
But if children have dormitories where they live, and they come together and they themselves, acting together, decide to engage in certain practices, how are the teachers going to discover this and deal with it? Because in this case, the story says that they were engaged in a handing over ceremony because the leader of the group is leaving school in June. And so they had to, it was an induction ceremony because they had to bring in new members and then elect a new leader to continue with the tradition. And so they were found out. I mean, this could go on for a long time and the school authorities will not know.
I think that's, I would not buy to this issue because, as I said, days back at school, we used to have dormitory prefects. We used to have house prefects. And I believe still they have it. We have school prefects. And our tutors by those days, the housemasters, they do random even checks, random inspections, and so on. So if these structures are still there, and they really look at the people they selected, and the school takes more interest in this monitoring, it is very easy to see, because it's not, obviously, we must have a dormitory prefect, we must have a house prefect.
What if the dormitory prefect is part of the process?
Yeah, but then we have a house prefect. You won't say that the entire prefect system, they are involved in that. And periodically, what is the lecturers, what are they doing? How often do they do inspection? How often do they monitor those days, the time the student even sleep? Recall that those days, I don't know the time you finish secondary school, our days, what we used to call it micro, waking up at dawn.
I went to a day secondary school anyway, so I will not.
Waking up and going and learn. This was strictly, not tolerated at school. If you are found, you'll be punished. So even when you are asleep, you'll be surprised that at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, they can have a roll call.
Surprise roll call, and inspection is conducted. Look, hold it for me. I have Mr. Peter Hammond. Mr. Peter Hammond knows a lot about occultism. His research into this, he's taught secondary schools, he's confiscated materials that are being used by students for these practices. Mr. Hammond, good evening and welcome to PM Express. Mr. Hammond, can you hear me? Good evening.
Hello.
Mr. Peter Hammond, good evening and welcome to PM Express.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Hammond may be speaking half English and half Fanti so that we can get a better understanding. Please help us understand when we say occultism, what do we mean? Mr. Hammond, can you hear me?
Hello.
I was asking, when we say occultism, what do we mean?
If you are saying
occultism, I want you to explain occultism.
Occultism is something like what it means.
It doesn't look like Mr. Hammond's line is good enough. I may have to come back.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Hammond? Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted you to explain to us what occultism is.
Go on.
I want you to explain to us what occultism is, and you can explain either in English or in Fanti so that we can get an understanding.
Please, can I interview me?
Please
Hello?
Please go ahead and speak Fanti.
Hello?
I said, go ahead. I was asking you, I will speak English, you speak Infanti. I wanted to know, when we say occultism, what do we mean? You can explain Infanti.
Yeah. I mean, occultism, na Erican, or Bibia, Nipa, air practice, air practice, a practice are do baby, and Edu baby, into in Zambia, once or for Nipa didn't want to move. And auto baby, so in your to me, every casa, my oshe bibiado.
Have you practiced occultism yourself, or do you practice occultism yourself?
Yeah, I'm learning because occultism is my field. The work I'm doing, I'm a spiritual researcher, so I'm learning all those kinds of, yeah.
Okay. How pervasive is occultism in our schools? Or how much would you say people practice occultism in our schools? Is it widespread, or it's just a few people who practice occultism in our schools?
It's a few people.
Okay.
Before the secondary schools, they are not practicing about occultism.
Okay.
It's from the varsity.
The universities, okay.
The university. But as of now, for the time I'm starting to research about the students, the secondary school students, 3 years ago, and then I see so many people in secondary school, they are practicing occultism. Yeah.
Why do you think that is the case? Why are more and more children at secondary school practicing occultism?
So, out of now, so many students, you want to catch those easy terms in our lives.
Okay. So they want easy way out. That's why they are practicing occultism.
Yeah,
but
to know something like memory.
Okay.
To know, to study a book.
Okay. But does it work? Can you use occultism to be able to memorize things and be able to write your exams and pass? Does it work?
Yeah, I can't say this one in air, but it is true. So if you know it very well, that occultism can help you to succeed your exam. But I don't know how to say. The way in future your life will end, you know, it's not good for that practice.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you are saying that you can use occultism to achieve some results, but eventually there may be some negative effects that may come out of that.
Hello?
It doesn't look like we can hear. Mr. Hammond, thank you very much for contributing to this discussion. We are most grateful for the enlightenment that you brought to this discussion. Thank you and good night. Doc, you just heard Mr. Peter Hammond, and he, as we know, he practices occultism himself, or he studies the practice of occultism. He says he's a researcher into this area. And he says in recent times, a lot more students and at the secondary school level are increasingly being involved in these kinds of practices. That should worry you.
Yeah, it's if the research, I mean his research is something to go by, then it's really a worrying situation. But the surprising thing is that, like I said, if you take the structure at the tertiary level universities, there are a lot of laxity, choice, students can do whatever thing they want. But at the secondary school, the curriculum, extracurriculum activities, and everything, they are well structured. So then, at what times do they get to use to practice this? So if more and more students...
But people have time to go and pray. The Muslims have time to go and pray. The Christians have time to go to church and pray. So whatever happens, they will still have time to go and do these practices. When we come back, I'll pick your reaction to that. We have to go for a break. When we come back, I'll ask Doc, if the argument is people will not have the time, the children won't have the time because they will be engaged in school activities, but they do have time to go and pray. The Muslims do have time. The Christians do have time. When we come back, I'll pick Doctor's view on this. You are watching PM Express, and we are talking occultism. Stay tuned. Come back. You are watching PM Express, and we are discussing occultism. A number of you have sent us your views on this matter. This one says, I still don't believe that these students were actually involved in occultism. I want to believe that they were having their normal societal meeting. However, if there are evidence to justify that they were really practicing it, then there is the need to ban all societal activities in all Ghanaian schools and also monitor the admission of foreigners in our schools. Thank you. This is Klatsin from Ellie. This one says, I now fear to send my child to boarding school because of danger. This person doesn't tell us his name and where he's sending this from. This one said they should go ahead. I'm right behind them. They won't think of what matters. Salamafla, I don't know what this person is saying. The law in this country bars girls from being occults and entreat them to sue the school if they are expelled. Okay, this person says, which law in this country bars the girls from being occults? I entreat them to sue the school if they are expelled. Why do we want to force people into religion they don't want? From Eja Kaodie at Abufo or something. That's an interesting point that this person is raising. We have constitutional provisions that allow people their right to freedom of worship. Is occultism not a form of worship? If it is, why are we complaining? Why is anybody worried about what is happening there? Because the people go to church, they go to the mosque.
Yeah, thank you. If we want to go by that tangentially, that occultism is a form of religion. Religions in our secondary school, they are practiced at open day. Muslims go, they pray daylight. Christians go, they pray, worship daylight. Any activity which is done undercover, right, is illegal. And it means it's not right. If occultism is practiced, have you seen them practicing it daylight, broad light? No. So what we have to understand is that we have faith-based schools, and they have their strong core values. So whatever faith you have, whatever...
That's a very controversial point you are raising, but I want us to take another short break. When we come back, I'll explore that point about who is determining which religion should be practiced where. If a Christian decides to worship in their dormitory, nobody should have any problems with that. The fact that somebody practices whatever form of religion elsewhere shouldn't make it unlawful, should it? You're watching PM Express. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching PM Express. We are talking occultism. Before we went on the break, Doc, you were making the point about, in response to my question, if this is a form of religion, why are we making all these complaining about what the children are doing and all of that?
First of all, you know that in our country, we have well-known established religions. And these religions are practiced.
That doesn't mean that people can't practice other religions.
Yes, and you can practice, but you see, being in school is like a society. And every society has what binds them. And you go, once you are there, you register to be part of the school, you have the prospectus you sign to, then you must go by their test. If that doesn't stop you from practicing what you are supposed to practice outside the school. If you are not in school, then you can go ahead, do whatever thing you want. But so far as you are in the school, whether Muslim school or Christian school, if it's time for church service, you have to. Most religions are even allowed, even in the school, open for them to practice. Therefore, any activity, religious activity, that is even practiced behind the blind side of management, or that is being practiced under, I mean, there's something wrong with it. And it should not be tolerated, actually, in these schools.
But this point about recognized religions, Islam and Christianity and traditional beliefs, there are Buddhists and others in this country. We don't see them practice, but they practice anyway. I understand that we have the PRO of the Ghana Education Service, Reverend Jonathan Betty, on the line with us. Reverend, if you can hear me, good evening and welcome to PM Express.
Jonathan is listening to you. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We do know that there was a meeting today regarding this report in the media about some 22 students of Wesley Girls Senior High School being involved in occultism. Has the GES investigated these media reports?
Since I'm listening to two stations, so somebody speaking to you, you are also speaking with.
I think there's interference from our Adom broadcast.
No, there's a discussion going on. I'm listening to Chi and then you.
There's interference from our Adom broadcast. Please ignore it, sir.
I can't listen to you. That one is overshadowing you.
It's a problem I think the technical team is dealing with. But if you can, once you can hear me, we hear you clearly, sir.
No. I'm not hearing you. The only thing I heard was, do I know whether a meeting went on today?
Okay, I was saying that we understand that there was a meeting today by the Ghana Education Service in respect of this, the media reports that some 22 students of Wesley Girls Senior High School were involved in occultism. I wanted to find out whether the GES has investigated these media reports.
Well, let me dispute that fact that there wasn't any meeting that went on today concerning your question. Okay. Nobody had a meeting with Director General concerning what you asking me.
Okay.
But what I know is the Wesley girls headmistress promised coming to see my Director General. So when I heard about the information, I went straight to my Director General to find out. And he told me that the headmistress will be coming to her today, this morning, to explain her version or to speak about her version about the whole thing. That's all I know. But there wasn't any meeting as such.
Okay. Do we know, given where you sit, do we know whether there was any credence to these to the media reports about this occultism?
Oh, my brother, I have a challenge listening to you. The discussion in the other video is overshadowing your question.
I wanted to know if we know whether these media reports are credible, whether in fact some students were found in that school engaged in occultism.
Well, we have also read it in Ghanaian Times this morning about what you are reporting on. We heard that students of Wesley girls were found in that act.
But there's no confirmation from where you said, is there?
There wasn't any official report from the school until the headmistress came this afternoon to see the Deputy Director General about the issue. That I was not in that meeting when the discussion was going on. That I met the woman personally, and then she narrated every issue to me.
What did she tell you happened?
Hey, my brother, I can't hear your question. No.
I'm asking what the headmistress told you happened in the school.
Well, the headmistress reported that a certain man brought a book titled The Ministry of Angels and How to Activate Them, written by one Reverend Viney McBurney, where a student saw that book and reported to the Reverend Minister in charge of chaplaincy in the school.
And that was it?
Oh, serious interaction.
I was asking.
Well, let me brief you what happened.
Okay.
After the headmistress narrated the incident to me, or what happened in her school, she said that after a student reported the circulation of that book in the school, they called a student body at assembly, and they went around all the rooms and ransacked every job box and every item in the lady. Hello, are you listening? Are you
yes,
hearing me?
We can hear you.
Yes. They searched through all their belongings and then got the textbook that I have just mentioned, the Ministry of Angels and how to activate them. I'm having the textbook. All that the woman collected, all the textbooks that she collected in their rooms were brought to the office, and some were also sent to the priest and the Methodist priest and Cape Coast for further investigation. So the circulation, the story that is in the circulation, some are not true. They are not true. But a certain man came to the school with the textbook, trying to convince and convert the students into occultism, which the woman managed to stop those things. And then the pictures that are shown or were shown in the media were students who completed the school some years back. It's not the current issue. So the woman was surprised how they got in those pictures of students in her school.
Reverend, do we know what has happened to this person who wrote this book and brought it to the school to try and distribute it?
May I get you again?
I'm asking, do we know what happened to this person, the author of this book, the Ministry of Angels and how to activate it? The author, do we know what has happened to him? And if the authorities are taking any action against him, and what action that may be?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I don't think I would know, or you also know, if you were not there.
But coming down to the issue about occultism in our schools, is it a problem for the GES? And
in actual fact, occultism in our schools, I can say it's a problem. In almost the senior high schools, these things are happening in our senior high schools, which we detected. So the Director General called the senior high school headmisters and headmasters to be vigilant, to be watchful, and be going around and making sure that this thing does not spread in all our schools.
Why do you think it has become such a problem?
Well, the world is developing and moving to a certain direction where we're beginning, or people beginning to believe everything, and whatever is destructive to we are believing it because of people's philosophy. People's understanding of what people write is bringing a lot of confusion into our schools.
And Reverend, apart from just admonishing the authorities of the schools, is there anything the GES can and is doing to kind of deal with this situation so that we don't have these reports, especially in a girls' school, happening?
Well, thank you very much. That's why I said earlier on that the Director General, Mr. Jacob Cole, is trying everything possible to make sure that our headmasters, housemasters, teachers are on our children. We want to build a very good disciplined society in Ghana. And we cannot sit down and allow our children to do whatever they like at this particular age. Now, when children are beyond 18 and they have completed and they are no longer under the leadership of the headmaster, head school, whatever they want to do, they could be allowed to do. If their parents also agree, they could be allowed to do it. But as far as they are under the leadership of headmaster, headmistress, and under discipline, we must not allow them to take the law or school rules and regulations into their own hands.
Do you think we have a problem of discipline in our senior high schools?
Well, we could have, but I can say that charity begins at home. We could have challenges. We could have problems. Discipline is going down in our schools. But I can also say that charity begins at home. Discipline must begin from our home before going to school. If a father is not able to control his children, mother is not able to control her children, what do you think a head teacher or teachers could do so much to parents? We've been trained as professional teachers to train our children So our teachers are also doing their best, and unless otherwise you want to say that a teacher is also involved in that occultism. If a teacher is not involved in that occultism, it is our duty as teachers, as headmasters, to train and build these children up in the fear of God. Whatever religion you belong to, whether you are a Muslim, you believe in God. You are a Christian, you believe in God. It is our duty to make sure that we mold these children in the fear of God, in the discipline and the discipline. And we must make sure that as parents also we help in training of our children so that the future of this nation will not be questioned.
Professor Stephen Ade, former rector of GIMPA, told Joy FM, I think Monday or so, that some parents virtually bring up their children as if they were rearing pigs. Do you share that view?
Well, I will support him. I will support Professor. It's a fact that when you go to some homes, you'll be surprised to hear from me that there are some people who some parents march to schools and rebuke teachers in front of their children. They don't allow teachers to train their children because they have pampered their children so much that they won't allow the school or the children to go through the school. They don't want education to pass through their children, but their children just to pass through the school and become nuisance in our in our society. So I believe and I support what Professor has said, that there are some parents who wouldn't like the school to train and discipline their children. They just wanted academic knowledge, but they don't want other education.
Reverend, on that note, we will say thank you. Thank you for contributing to our show tonight. We are most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother.
That's Reverend Jonathan Betty. He is the PRO of the Ghana Education Service. I'm back into the studio with Doc. You heard the PRO, and he didn't quite give us a straightforward response as whether what we read in the newspaper was true or not. But he said that there was this book that was written, The Ministry of Angels and How to Activate It. And this book was distributed in the school. And so some of the students bought it, and they probably would have tried to activate this Ministry of Angels.
In the first place, I mean, I somehow share the view of the Reverend, because when I read even the story in the Ghanaian Times, it was a bit sketchy. You can't even get the full detail actually what is happening. So that's called, I share the sentiment of the Reverend. But then, let's take the issue of distributing book. How did the author get access to the school?
Okay.
And how was he able to distribute the books freely? Who helped this person to be able to do that? And this is what I was saying, that the structures in the school must work, because even at our time, student, you have all your chobox and other things, even at the chobox room. So even though your own provisions, you don't have even access to it at any time. And certain schools, you cannot visit your ward except it's visiting time. So how come somebody have access to distribute these books? So that's what the school authority, if it were true, they have to investigate. How come that the person was able to get access to it? You see, and it is true, from what he's saying, that some parents actually create a part of the problem. They've pampered their children. They are not allowing their children to be disciplined. But like I said initially, university is different. But at the secondary school level, so far as the student is under the control of the school, irrespective of the status of the parent, the school authorities have control over the school. So if you are a parent and you don't want the school to pass through your kid, then the authorities have every power to advise the child to be taken to another place. So if the school authorities are to enforce their own rules, guidelines that were used to establish the schools, their core values, they are to really install those core values, obviously, some of these things will not have their own way. Our time, church service is compulsory. And if you don't go for church service, you are in trouble. So if there are such systems in place,
which one would argue was kind of abuse of people's rights, because if the person, assuming that the person believed in another religion and so doesn't want to go to church, and you force the person to go to church, abusing the person's religion.
Yeah, but before the student join the school, before the parents send the kids to school, they know that it's a Christian-based school or it's an Islamic-based school. They read through the prospectus. They sign it. It means they consented to their child participating. Some of these, they are participating in all these activities to help build the student, to help make the student whole and complete. The fact that you are a Christian and you are in a Muslim school, there should be tolerance. We must coexist. Our days, we were having Christians, we have Muslims, we were all sharing together. There was no problem. You see, so long as these religions are recognized, they are practiced, the school accepts them. Obviously, there's no problem with that.
But there was an issue Mr. Peter Hammond raised about why, in his opinion, you have these increasing number of people being involved in these practices. And he said, too many people want results quickly. So people don't want to put in the hard work to learn. They want to use these practices to be able to memorize materials and then go and write exams. How much is it a problem for you that have we become a society of quick fixes?
Yeah, and he said something that the end of the thereof is a problem. So what will it benefit you to become quick fixes, to get quick solution, but it will not last? And that's our problem. It's a societal problem in the whole country now. Everybody wants to get rich, everybody wants to get quick access, but at the end of it, how do we translate this? So, notwithstanding, we all have that desire, everybody, the society, they want to get things done quick in a better way. But when you go out of your environment to another society, to a recognized, well-ordered society like a school, then you will not have your own way.
Yeah, that's where you meet all the other people from different backgrounds who have all manner of ideas, that then you cross-fertilize those ideas and then you can engage
cross-fertilize, yes. But you cannot practice. You cannot have access. You have the access when you go out. That's cool.
Doc, hold that thought. We have to go for a break. When we come back, we'll be finding out from Doc, where do we go from here? What can we do? What should we do? Parents, teachers, students, government, authorities, what should everybody do to deal with this situation? You're watching PM Express. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express, and my guest is Dr. Eric Kwesi Ofori. He's a National Vice President of UTAG, University Teachers Association of Ghana. Before we went on the break, we're talking about primarily what we can do about this. And I was asking Reverend whether he thinks discipline is a problem in our schools. And he said yes. Do you share that view, that discipline is a problem in our schools?
I share the view, but I think it's a shared responsibility. Responsibility by the parents, the institutions, and as a country or government as a whole. It's a hard time that we try to understand that you cannot train or educate your own world. You cannot teach your child from nursery to university under your own roof. So long as you send your kid to a school, then you have entrusted the responsibility to discipline, to educate, to nurture the child to the school. And you must respect it.
If you have sufficient belief and trust that the teacher himself is properly guided and that this teacher will protect the interests of your child.
And
because we have numerous cases of children. In fact, we just reported a case where a teacher okay, this one was a policeman, but we have numerous cases of teachers defiling and abusing children and assaulting them. I had an unpleasant situation where back in Sandima where a teacher hit a student and the boy died. So these things happen. So when you have situations where teachers themselves are noted, and we are not saying that teachers are bad, but teachers are noted to take decisions and actions that are detrimental to the growth of the child, then parents have every right to be worried.
And what happened to the disciplinary structures in the schools? What is GES doing? HES doing? So teachers are also under control of their employers, their authorities. Right, so if a teacher is misbehaving and headmistress is there, you cannot control, the GES cannot also.
And we know that in the GES, a lot of the time when a teacher misbehaves, all that happens is they just transfer him.
Yeah, but transferring is also a form of punishment.
But if a teacher, for example, abuses students or children in a school and you transfer him, you're only asking him to go and continue from somewhere.
Yeah, and that's why when you transfer this teacher, the record of it must be followed. And you don't transfer the teacher just because you want to transfer the sick. So here, they follow you. They look at your behavior. And if it's persistent, then
realistically, Doc, who is doing that? Realistically, that a teacher will be transferred and someone, either a circuit supervisor or a district director of education, will have the time to monitor this teacher and keep his file. You know that it won't happen.
Do we still have the circuit supervisors? The answer is yes. What are they doing? They still visit the schools. When they visit the school, what do they monitor? What performance guidelines do we expect from these circuit supervisors? They are HES. So, you see, the entire system is becoming relaxed.
It's our education in crisis.
The education is somehow, it's like we are jeopardizing our own future. We are trying to bring in things that we think is foreign. Oh, it's right. Is the child right? It's my right.
So, Doc, my question is: our education system in crisis?
I won't say it's in crisis, but there are challenges. There are challenges.
It's not a diplomatic response.
There are challenges, and I believe the competence of the teachers, the authorities, even to manage these kids, if parents will give them support, if government will give them support, and both parent and government will back away from interferences.
The government pays the teachers their salaries, the government provides the resources. So,
but if a student is sacked, it may not be a parent. It may be authority from somewhere who will go back to the school and say, take the child back. Headmistresses, headmasters, and authorities, some of them will find their hands tied. They want to discipline, they want to instill, but somebody somewhere try to exert influence. And it's high time that all these influence, they are detrimental to the progress of our children. So if we want the children or our students to grow, to become responsible people, then perhaps we must go back to our early 80s and 90s and so on. Things that we have left, we must really go back to bring these things because they help. They help.
Some would say you are advocating chaos because we certainly are a better society now. We have grown. We are a more democratic society. Our democratic credentials have increased. Why is anybody advocating that we go back to the 80s where in the kinds of circumstances that we went to school, the teacher brought a long cane to school and lashed you? That's not a good thing to advocate.
It's not just lashing, but at least there was a fear of God at those days.
So, and the fear of the cane.
The fear of cane. And even the fear of cane will make you sit up.
The fear of the cane
will make you sit up.
Maybe it made us timid.
So, no, it's not a timid per se, but I believe that we really, really got good virtues in us. It brought good virtues in us. It made us sit up. And I can tell you that there are a lot of better things, potentials, especially in this system. We only have to guide these students to be able to convert the positives of this society into it.
Let me just raise something controversial. The people, your generation, that you are talking about, who had all of this discipline and the fear of God and all of that, you are the people who are managing the state. Where is our state as a people? Where is our state? Where is that discipline? Where is the fear of God? So it hasn't worked.
It worked. The only thing, as I said, it's high time that parents and the society must understand that if we are to have a future, generations which will grow and come and help this country, we need to stay away from so far as the students are under the authorities of the school. Of course, that doesn't give free hand to the authority to do whatever thing they are. But we need to support them. We need to encourage the school. We need to help them to instill discipline.
If a parent resorts to shortcuts at home and the child goes to school and you tell the child not to resort to shortcuts, and this child has to cram materials in his or her head and go and write exams, and this child is informed that there is a book, if you resort to some practices, it can help you memorize materials and you can write your exams and you pass well. The child will certainly resort to these practices and damn the consequences. Peter Hammond told us that in the end, the consequences are grave, but the child may just damn them.
The child may damn them, but like I said, I know most of our secondary schools. There hasn't been a lot of change from what used to exist. They still have their classes, they still have their prep times, they still have when to go for their siestas, when to sleep, when to wake up. These structures are still there. So the student may have learned shortcuts and other things home. But when they come to school, it's like you have entered a new society where there are new rules and ways of doing things. So if parents will understand and they will support the school authorities, that the way you have carved for yourself to bring up these children through teaching, through learning, through nurturing, have your way. We will support you, encourage you. Obviously, the student will benefit. In fact, there's nothing good to be gained from shortcuts. The
occultist consultants.
At the end of it, it's more disastrous. And if the schools backed with the faith, faith, that's one thing that helps. Whether it's Islam or whether it's Christian, they helped us, they trained us, they brought us up with that fear. And at the end of it, we grew with it. So it is high time that we allow the schools, they should have their free will, their free hand. Of course, that doesn't mean they can go overboard. If they are going overboard, that's why we have GES. We have sanctioning bodies, sanctioning authorities, and they must strike the rod at the appropriate time.
And apply the sanctions when they have to. Doc, it's been great talking to you. Thank you. Thank you. You have been listening to Dr. Eric Kwesi Opoku. He's a national vice chairman of the UTAG, University Teachers Association of Ghana. We have been talking occultism in our schools, how much of a problem it is. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. This has been your show. Good night.
PM Express was brought